Annie never thought that a small cut on a stranger's arm would become the moment her entire life collapsed, because it began so harmlessly with a man standing in her father's butcher shop, blood seeping through a torn sleeve. Dismissing his injury as nothing more than a workplace accident, while her instincts screamed that something was wrong. Especially when she noticed the faint outline of a tattoo partially hidden under dried blood. A symbol she didn't recognize but felt in her bones carried danger, and when she suggested calling the authorities, the air shifted, his voice hardened, and before she could react, the phone in her hand became a mistake she would pay for with fear, humiliation, and silence. An apology forced out of her, not because she meant it, but because survival demanded it. And by the time he left, escorted by men who obeyed him without question, Annie sensed that she had crossed into a world her father had spent her entire life shielding her from. A world that followed her that very evening when she showed up at the agreed meeting place expecting normality, and instead found tension, lies unraveling, and a man she trusted revealing himself as a performer in a play she had never known she was part of, until her father's voice, calm and authoritative, stripped away the illusion and confessed that he was not just a hard-working shop owner, but one of the city. As most powerful criminal leaders, a man who had built an empire of fear and loyalty, so that his daughter could grow up believing in honesty, kindness, and decency. And the revelation shattered her because every memory suddenly felt fake, every lesson twisted, and when Daniel stepped forward unapologetic and dangerous, explaining the markings, the rival clans, the blood already spilled that day, Annie realized she wasn't being informed, she was being positioned a pawn in a marriage designed to seal an alliance. And when she refused with the conviction of the girl she used to be, it only exposed how little control she truly had, because threats replaced negotiations, and her mother's life became leverage, turning Annie's defiance into terror and her freedom into a signature forced onto a contract she barely read before being transported to an estate that felt more like a beautifully furnished prison than a home, where Daniel oscillated between arrogance and unsettling honesty, admitting pieces of truth while withholding others, testing her boundaries not with violence but with provocation, forcing her to confront clauses in a marriage agreement that reduced her autonomy to formality while pretending it was tradition. Watching her anger flare as she challenged every word, every rule, refusing to bend even as she was trapped. Because fear did not erase her mind, and when danger struck again during a weapons negotiation gone wrong, Annie surprised everyone, including herself, by staying calm under gunfire, using logic, intuition, and courage to survive, proving she was not just a bargaining chip but a veritable no one had calculated correctly. And as enemies circled, betrayals surfaced, and alliances cracked, Annie began to see the truth beneath the brutality, that this world ran not only on violence, but on information, on trust that could collapse with a single leak. And when she uncovered the existence of a traitor and revealed a secret that even Daniel didn't expect, the power dynamic shifted, forcing him to see her not as an obligation but as a partner he could neither control nor ignore. And by the time they escaped the immediate danger, nothing was resolved. Not the marriage, not the war between clans, not her family's future. But Annie was no longer the girl who believed her life was simple. She was someone forged under pressure, standing between empires, refusing to disappear. Knowing that whether she liked it or not, the choices she made next would decide who lived, who died, and who she would ultimately become.